Hello there! Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Kudi, and I'm a mystical rodent activist. I call myself an MRA for short. I'm not a men's rights activist myself, nor am I human, but I've been observing other MRAs for eons. And let me tell you, as an impartial third-party observer, that MRAs actually have quite a lot in common, and that they're also quite distinct from other activists. I've also noticed that far too many humans are deeply mystified and confused about men's rights activism, so I've taken it upon myself to shed light on a few things. I have seen and heard the opinions from professional feminists and from amateur intellectuals who claim to know what the men's rights movement is all about and what MRAs support and what they believe, and I've seen them fail to get it and get it wrong far too many times to count. I am aware that there is plenty of controversy within the men's rights movement, especially when it comes to minor details. But I've also noticed that there is a modest consensus emerging at the heart of the men's rights movement. I've identified 5 tangible points of consensus that have been firmly established within the men's rights movement. These are not official MRA doctrines or dogma. They are simply characteristic opinions. And in the spirit of clarity, I will now tentatively submit these 5 core points for your consideration and reflection. Point number 1. The gender war is convenient feminist fiction. Don't sign up for it. No benefit can be gained by one sex at the expense of the other. Even rodents understand that. There is no competition between the sexes. There is no power struggle between the sexes. There is no pendulum to be swung, no war to be won. Misandry is not the solution to misogyny, and misogyny is not the solution to misandry. Most MRAs understand that there is no collective conflict between the sexes. Females do not have any collective interests apart from that of the other sex, and neither do males. So please, don't let your own personal baggage and feelings about someone in your life inform you on how to treat half of the human population. The personal is not political. Point number 2. Feminism is not what feminists say it is. Judge feminism by its actions. Is there anything that feminists don't lie about? Feminists say that they want equality and fairness, but their sexist actions and dishonest propaganda say otherwise. Your typical MRA understands that feminist activism is dependent on female victim identity and male demonization. Feminists endorse these sexist ideas in order to promote their divisive, collectivist ideology, to raise money, and to keep their war against men going. Nobody is born a feminist. You can decide whether or not to call yourself a feminist, but you can't just decide what feminism really is. Point number 3. Misandry is pernicious. Speak out against misandry. MRAs, by and large, understand that misandry is hatred, that misandry is sexism, and that misandry is being used to strip all men and boys of their basic human rights. But misandry is not recognized as a real problem, either by feminists or by society at large. Men's rights activists agree that misandry is real, and that it should not be tolerated any more than misogyny would be. And these MRAs have also taken on the responsibility for acknowledging, exposing, and opposing misandry, because if they don't do it, then no one else will. Point number 4. Traditionalism is obsolete. Ignore your role. MRAs try to be accurate, objective, and honest about masculinity and femininity. They recognize that men and women are different, but they don't want to promote discrimination, stereotypes, or prejudices either. MRAs don't like chivalry, and they don't believe in adopting double standards based on genitalia. MRAs refuse to promote masculinity, femininity, or androgyny. When MRAs attempt to describe the differences between the sexes, they are not trying to prescribe any differences between the sexes. MRAs look to the future. They don't cling to the past, and they agree that your genitals should not determine your lifestyle or your rights. Point number 5. Empowered women are helpful, but not helpless. So don't worship the feminine. Most MRAs would love to see a wave of strong, capable, and independent women. But they are disappointed to see a wave of idealized, infantilized, sheltered, and fearful women. These MRAs understand perfectly well that rewards come with risks, and that if you can take credit, then you should also be able to take blame, and that if you can dish it out, then you should also be able to take it, and that power and authority should come along with responsibility and accountability. MRAs take exception to feminism's narrow focus on women's problems and fears, and with feminism's track record of treating human issues as divisive gender issues. These MRAs really don't like gynocentrism or female supremacism, but they do respect female leadership. Notice how I have been focusing on what the men's rights movement is, without even mentioning what it is not. That's because what the men's rights movement is not is painfully obvious, so long as you understand what it is. If you can't figure out what the men's rights movement is not, given that you already understand what it is, then you clearly need help. Psychiatric help. And that's not my area of expertise. Now, whether or not you consider yourself to be an MRA, please be so kind as to let me know if you agree or disagree with any of this mystical rodent's observations. And to Man Boobs and his cats, I have this message. You can kiss my rodent ass. And to everyone else, please have a Happy New Year. This is Kudi, the mystical rodent activist, signing off.